In this video we're going to look at what medieval people actually did think made them sick and made them ill. There are many different things that people used to believe were the causes of medical infection or disease or illness. The first and probably the biggest one of these was a belief in God. Religion played a huge part in most people's lives, so it's not surprising that people thought God had a part to play in the spread of disease. If somebody was living a sinful life, then a difficult illness was God's way of punishing them for their sins. If society as a whole was being sinful or moving away from the true path of faith and directions of the Pope and the Catholic Church, then an epidemic or a plague was just a reward sent by God to remind people of their duties to the Church. There was also a belief in the doctrine of signatures. God had created illness, but on his kindness had also created the right herbs or plants with which to treat the illness. All you had to do was identify that plant. Lungwort, for example, was used for breathing problems and eyebright for eye infections. Some plants were said to look like the part of the body they were supposed to treat. Saxifrage, for example, breaks up rocks as it grows, so it must be perfect for treating kidney stones. Alkanet has viper-shaped seeds, so it's perfect to treat snake bites. A second big reason people felt for the growth of disease was miasma, or bad smells. Some people began to notice that there was a link between where bad air was and mortality rates. Mortality tended to be higher in the towns and cities than in the countryside, and there were more smells, more bad air in the towns and countrysides. People lived much closer together, they lived alongside their animals, and the filth of both of those was just turfed onto the street, into the drinking water, and therefore the disease came. Travellers often said they could smell a town a long time before they could even see it, so it's hardly surprising that many people thought disease was spread by bad smells infecting neighbours and friends in and around towns and cities. The supernatural was also another option that people used to turn to. Mystery and magic were used by a lot of people to explain unexpected and unknown happenings. Witchcraft was feared, and many believed the world was full of demons trying to cause trouble and death. Any sudden disease or misfortune could easily be blamed on the supernatural, especially as the church painted a picture of a life where good always fought against evil. And finally, the widest belief of them all probably was the belief in the four humours theory. Every doctor, and therefore every person, believed in Hippocrates and Galen. They thought that this loss of balance was the reason why they got ill. Every doctor had a chart showing illnesses that were caused by whichever humour was outside of balance, depending on what zodiac sign and month of the year it was. They could then plan treatment based on that, not on any observation, but simply on what time of the year it was. Finally was everyday life. Many people believed that illness and early death was inevitable. Many children died before the age of 7, and many people that was normal. Families were large to compensate for that. Childbirth was exceptionally dangerous for women, and it was expected that a man would need to remarry to provide his children with a new mother. That was just par for the course. War, famine were pretty frequent. Everyday life for peasants in and around medieval times was incredibly uncertain.